The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Lord, be on my mind, be on my lips, and in my heart. Jesus, again in reply, spoke to the chief priests and the elders of the people in parables, saying, "The kingdom of heaven may be likened to a king who gave a wedding feast for his son. He dispatched his servants to summon the invited guests to the feast, but they refused to come. A second time he sent other servants, saying, 'Tell those invited, behold, I have prepared my banquet. My calves and my fatted cattle are killed, and everything is ready. Come to the feast.' Some ignored the invitation and went away, one to his farm, another to his business. The rest laid hold of his servants, mistreated them, and killed them. The king was enraged and sent his troops, destroyed those murderers, and burned their city. And then he said to his servants, 'The feast is ready, but those who were invited were not worthy to come. Go out, therefore, into the main roads and invite to the feast whomever you find.' The servants went out into the streets and gathered all they found, bad and good alike, and the hall was filled with guests. But when the king came in to meet the guests, he saw a man there not dressed in a wedding garment. The king said to him, 'My friend, how is it that you came in here without a wedding garment?' But he was reduced to silence. Then the king said to his attendants, 'Bind his hands and his feet, cast him into the darkness outside, where there will be wailing and grinding of teeth. Many are invited, few are chosen.'" The Gospel of the Lord. Today we hear another parable about the kingdom of heaven. In the last 3 weeks we've been hearing the kingdom of heaven is like a vineyard. And you have to go into the vineyard and work and produce fruit. And one of the parables even said, "Endure the long heat of the day." Now, today, Jesus is changing it completely. The kingdom of heaven is like a party. Why not? Both are true. But it is really beautiful to hear how Jesus is inviting us to a party, to a feast. And not just any party or feast he likens it to, but a wedding feast. Now, I'm sure most everyone here has been to a wedding feast, a wedding banquet. And I have to say, in my life's experiences, those are always the greatest parties, the funnest. I wonder why that is. I reflect on that. I think it's got something to do with everyone has just witnessed the bride and groom exchange vows to be faithful and loving to one another through life. It brings out the best in us, that ideal, that hope. And having then brought out the best in us, having been inspired by their witness, we enter into the banquet filled with joy. And since everyone's an invited guest of the bride and groom, we trust people. And so our guard is down. And we just enjoy. And of course, everything's free. That's what the kingdom of heaven is meant to be. It is a feast. It is bringing out the best in us. It is, in its ideal form in heaven, where we can trust others and enjoy their company, and everything is free. And this is what God wants for us, even now. I was taken aback. I called a 93-year-old parishioner today on the occasion of her birthday. And she was so happy. She said, "Jesus is my divine lover. Jesus is my best pal. Jesus is my other spouse." What a witness, 93 years, to talk about Jesus that way in her faith. She has indeed met the divine bridegroom, which is what Jesus is referred to in scriptures. God has become our marriage partner. He has espoused himself to us. Our Maker has married us and poured out his love and united us with himself. And that fullness comes in the next life, but it's meant to give us hope, to fill us with love and joy now that even lasts through very difficult end times. And she went on to say, you know, my husband died years ago, and I miss him so, and I look forward to seeing him again. But I know that right now God's still got a plan for me here. That's the kind of faith that we're called to have. No matter what's going on, there is more for us yet to come that's better, that is perfect, that is like that wedding banquet. And so if we are here, God's got a plan for us. And that can fill us with hope and joy. But the sadness is, in this story, is so many people don't accept the invitation to the banquet. But they go back to their farm or their business. I don't know about you, but there's many times I've passed up good times in life for work. And sometimes you really have to do that. Don't get the wrong impression. But God wants us to enter into the joy, to not pass up that invitation and not let these worldly concerns rob us of responding to that joy. It's hard, but it's really true. God is real. God is love, and he's calling us to this banquet if we only enter and surrender to it. And so that is the message today, except, Jesus, you messed up a very beautiful story, a very beautiful parable about the kingdom of heaven, and then right at the end, Jesus brings in judgment. Someone didn't have a garment on, and they throw him out to the dark where there's wailing and grinding of teeth. Why is that? You know what? My explanation is it's just by definition. It has to be that way. Because if the kingdom of heaven is like a banquet where you can trust everyone and where everyone is loving and good, and that's what makes it the banquet, by definition, one bad apple will ruin the whole party. Matter of fact, one bad apple in the Garden of Eden did ruin the whole party. God meant us to live in this banquet paradise from the beginning, but sin entered the world. And so Christ comes in to redeem us so that we can put on our wedding garment and be cleansed of that sin and be converted by his presence and his power into divine likeness of Christ so that we love perfectly, so that when we enter the kingdom of heaven, we won't be that bad apple. We will actually enjoy and contribute to the love, the perfect love that it's going to be. And so today, I would like to add, I don't know if Jesus really meant this, our life right now is like the waiting room to get into that banquet. There are many among us who've been invited in. Some have yet not put on that garment. We're called to put on that garment ourselves, to convert to Christ, to become more loving, to grow from sinfulness to holiness by his grace and power. But we're also called to help our sisters and our brothers while we wait to put on their garment, to serve them, body, soul, and spirit, to encourage them, to lift them up emotionally and spiritually, mentor them, and proclaim the good news to them. And we're meant to have messengers or servants that go out to the byroads and invite people into that waiting room, which is the church, so that they too can be mentored and nurtured by loving community and put on that garment, so that in the end, when Christ comes again and establishes the fullness of that kingdom, the church will be perfected, we his bride, in the bridegroom united to us in the banquet of heaven. This is the reality of our lives. This is the truth. This perspective helps us to continue to persevere through difficult times here, to have hope, to not grow angry with our brother and sister, but to continue to encourage them and to live in unity. For if we can't do it now, we won't be able to enter into the banquet.